For better picture quality, adjust tracking control on your VCR.
When the moon is high and the candles ignite, Rabbi Joe's got a manor full of holiday light. Monsters and miracles, what a sight to see. It's the Midnight Monster Manor.
Take it easy, Dracula. What do you think I'm carrying here, my dirty laundry?
Where a man-eating, talking plant gives homicide something to think about.
I didn't do it.
Do what?
Whatever.
Ever see this man?
Man, see picture.
Why are you so nervous? Oh, boy, you kiss good, Audrey.
Oh, I guess I just have a good kisser.
Now you will do as I say.
Yes, master.
You will go out and find me some food.
Yes, master.
What's the matter? Don't you like me?
Too bony.
Too bony? Nobody ever told me that before.
Beef is better than veal.
Ah, you're such a dodo. What do you call this? Chopped liver?
Come in. I surprised her in her room. She was not alone. With my own hands, I killed her.
Starring Boris Karloff.
Take this gun. Escort this gentleman from the castle. If he resists, kill him.
The Terror. His evil mystic powers go beyond man's wildest imaginings. The Terror, empowered to avenge, to reward, to transform.
I do love you.
Is she a blood and flesh beauty a man can enjoy?
I am possessed of the dead.
Or is she a gossamer myth, created by a madman's distorted desires?
Take your life as you took mine, and bring us together forever.
Join Boris Karloff, the Frankenstein monster of all horror motion pictures, in his most blood-chilling screen experience.
Shalom, my little mishpoch of midnight maniacs. Welcome to Rabbi Joe's Midnight Monster Manor Hanukkah Special. Oy vey, it's the Festival of Lights, but tonight we're turning up the darkness just a bissel. We've spun the dreidel. We've eaten our weight in latkes, extra crispy with a side of applesauce and sour cream. Don't at me. And now it's time to celebrate the miracle of the oil by pouring on some classic horror schlock. Because nothing says Nes Gadol HaYosham like a man-eating plant and a bunch of nyuks. First up, let's get warmed up like a fresh batch of sufganiyot. We've got a short slapstick gem from 1947, Brideless Groom, starring those three Meshuggah geniuses, the Three Stooges. Shem's got to tie the knot by sundown to snag a fortune, but finding a bride? Feh! It's pokes in the eye, pies in the face, and more chaos than a family argument over who gets the last chocolate gelt. Hold hands, you lovebirds! Nyuk, nyuk, nyuk. And then Ghouls and Goblins, our main feature, straight from 1960, Roger Corman's low-budget 3-day masterpiece, The Little Shop of Horrors. That's The Little Shop of Horrors, not the musical Little Shop of Horrors with the singing pod. No, this is the original black comedy, where meek little Seymour nurtures a peculiar plant named Audrey Jr. that grows bigger and hungrier. Feed me, Seymour. More like, oi, what a monster I've created. It's blood, blooms, and black humor on Skid Row, perfect for Hanukkah, where we remember that little oil can last forever, but a little plant can devour everything. So light your menorahs, grab your popcorn. Not too much salt, it's bad for the blood pressure. And stick around. The Manor's doors are locked, and the plants are hungry. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsor, Gefilte fish. It wiggles, it jiggles, it stays in the jar forever. Chag Sameach, creeps, and stays spooky.
Shalom, ghoul lovers! Rabbi Joe's Midnight Monster Manor is brought to you by the folks who keep tradition on your tongue and a smile on your face.
Schmaltzy gefilte fish, so tender, so...
Folks, the candles are lit, the dreidels are spun, and your table's missing just one thing. This!
Schmaltzy shelf-stable gefilte fish.
It keeps till the next Hanukkah if you can wait that long.
I'm not waiting.
Me neither.
Smooth, savory, and ready whenever.
Now, you see, Miss Dinkelmeyer, that's the way it should be sung. Shall we try it again?
I'll try anything for you, Professor.
Oh, that's fine, fine. If you please, Doctor. 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 Oh. Hey. No, you are too fortissimo, too allegro, too quantro.
Oh, is that bad?
It ain't good. You're supposed to be singing about the voices of spring, not the eruption of a volcano. Give with the throat, not with the bellows.
Oh, Professor, you want it more like a bird.
That's it. Give me the bird. Oh. Look. Play. we've done enough for today. You might hurt your voice, you know, bend it, crack it, or break it or something.
Oh, Professor, you're so considerate. I'm just crazy about you.
Don't forget, we've got another lesson Tuesday. Gargle with old razor blades.
All right, Professor. I know you wouldn't want anything to happen to my throat.
Except to have somebody cut it.
How would you like to be married to a dame like that?
Don't even say that. I oughta.
You ought to what?
I ought to be a little more careful.
Well, shut up and listen. Do you remember your Uncle Caleb?
Do I? Why, that old tightwad he'd steal flies from a blind spider.
But, Shemp, he's
He's a louse and a weasel.
Yeah, well, he just died and left you $500,000.
Just like that old skinflint. $500,000.
Poor old Uncle Caleb. Like I was saying, he was a swell guy. Give me the shirt off his back and throw in the buttons, too. But there's one little catch. You get the dough provided you're married. So...
Married? No. No, fellas. I'm going to faint. Oh. Or what?
If you get married within 48 hours of the reading of the will.
What time was that?
6 o'clock the night before last.
You just got 7 hours to get yourself a bride.
It can't be done. No woman is interested in me.
Maybe not, pal. But if you look real hard, you might find one that's interested in $500,000.
Maybe I got something there.
You're darn right he has. Do you know any girls?
I got a lot of numbers, but I haven't had much luck with them lately.
Well, you can't get killed for trying. Where's the phone?
There's a booth down the hall.
Well, what are we waiting for? Come on.
Down the hall.
Right down the hall. Oh.
Here's 6 nickels.
That makes 17. You ought to hit the jackpot with one of them. Go ahead.
Give me Susquehanna 2222.
Say, he's been in there over an hour.
What are you getting nervous about? When Shemp pours on the charm, no dame can resist him.
I hope you're right.
Hello? Is this Ginger Gray? It is? Well, this is your little snookums. I'm about to do you a big favor. Will you marry me? Oh.
Hey, any luck?
I've got one phone number and 1 nickel left.
Well, start using it. Oh, you clumsy ox, you. Where'd that go?
It went down here someplace.
Let's find it.
I think it went over that side.
Oh, no. Here, take this receiver out of my way.
I got it. All right, just take the...
Wait a minute.
All right.
Here, now wait. Get this out of my hair here.
All right. Easy. Get off your foot. Look at what I got here.
What's that?
I don't know.
Yeah, and wait a minute. It leads around under my arm, then up here around the neck.
That's your...
Get your hand off
That
me here.
Oh, all right.
Easy. All right. Wait a minute. Come on.
All
we can
right.
Now, wait a minute. Can you dial from there?
No, can you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Wait a minute. If I come around like this one and get up in this one, how's that?
Well, it don't feel as good as when I did this.
Oh, wait. Take it easy. Now, look. We ain't getting no place fast.
Let's get at this thing the right way. You want to get this on.
All right, wait a minute. All right. Can't stare at me. It started with the book, didn't it?
Mo, where's your hat?
How you doing?
Get your hand out of my face.
That ain't my hand, it's your hand.
All right, you asked for it. Ow!
Wait.
Say, miss, would you like to get married?
What?
Get married.
Well, I don't know. But you are kind of cute at that.
Oh, it's not me, it's him.
You gotta get out of this.
All right.
There isn't much time left. You know that, don't you?
All right.
What happened?
That's what I want to know. Wait a minute. Did you get a load of that?
What a dish.
I wonder who she is. We'll soon find out. Oh, boy. Yes. Who's the new dame?
Hey, Miss Hopkins.
Miss Hopkins. Did you hear that, kid?
And good looking, too. Go get her, Chef.
Oh, wait a minute. You can't propose to a girl looking like that. We gotta give you the works. Come on.
stand still, will you? We gotta get going. It's 3 o'clock now.
Yeah? And if you don't marry that girl by 6 o'clock, we're out of the money.
I said stand still. Oh, Mo! Mo! I'm blind! You blinked my eye out! Get a towel, Mo! Get a towel! Oh. Hey, where are the towels? In the bottom drawer. I got it.
You sure look funny with a Buster Brown collar.
Hold that. Oh. Where are you? Here. Say, I forgot to tell you, when the afternoon papers come out, you're going to be famous. How come? I gave the story to the reporters. Yes, sir. Shem Howard to inherit $500,000. Let's get going, kid. I'm telling you to hold still now. I'm warning you. Oh, excuse me. I thought that was... Hold still. Almost had 7 years hard luck. Oh, how do you like that? I said stand still. Oh. Hey, I cut off my head. Mo, my head is off. Mo, my head is off. My head is off. Oh, there I am. And as pretty as a picture. Yeah, but Nate, get going here. This means $500,000. I know what it means. Here you are. Boy, am I tired. Where'll I throw this water? Oh. You look good. You look great, kid. You're a cinch. Go to it. Oh. Come on. Hello.
Oh, hello. Come in, Cousin Basil. Oh, I'm so happy to see you. I've just been dying to meet you. You're even cuter than that Sadie said you were.
Oh, boy, success. Yeah, listen to those kisses. Cut it out.
Oh, you must be exhausted after your long trip. Sit down. Let me look at you, Cousin Basil. Oh. Now, don't you go away. Hello? Yes, this is Miss Hopkins. Your Cousin Basil? Well, then who is...
I was just...
How dare you pretend to be my Cousin Basil? I'll teach you a thing or two. You won't. Don't you dare strike me. Taking advantage of a poor, weak, helpless woman.
Boy, his kisses are getting louder.
You horrible person, you!
Get up. What happened, kid? Can I help it if I ain't Cousin Basil?
Oh, Professor, are you all right?
Oh, I'm fine. Oh, all I wanted to do was propose, but...
Propose? Oh, Professor, this is so sudden.
You mean you'll really marry him?
Oh, of course. He's my little old dreamboat.
Your little dreamboat is sailing. Wait a minute. You're going to sail away from $500,000? We only got 2 hours left. Come on, get going. Come on.
Come right in, folks.
Yes, indeed. Say, here's the license. My pal wants to get married in a rush.
Oh, splendid. Oh, excuse me. Hello? Who? Mr. Howard? Yes, he's here.
Hello? Yes? What? How many of them? Wow. Yeah. Okay, thanks. That was the clerk at the apartment. Those dames you phoned this morning found out about the $500,000 in the papers. Come on, pal, we gotta make this fast.
Have you got the ring?
Why, certainly I got it. Oh. It went in the piano. Get it. You see anything?
Yeah, wires.
Listen, you. What? You know, I think the piano's out of tune. Go on. I think I see it. Oh, Look out. Get up out of there.
Get me out of here. My face. Oh, you want to spoil my looks?
Impossible. Never mind your face and get that ring. It's 6:15.
Oh, I'm awful sorry.
So am I. Quit playing around in there and get that ring.
Oh, get me out of here. Get me out of here.
Dummy. All right. He's all tangled up with wires.
All right, we'll back him up and we'll break him out of it.
Oh, piano.
Shut up.
Hey, sit him down. We'll get a new grip. Easy, now wait. Get this stuff off. You get in the messes every time. Here, give me your arm. Now, a few minutes left and no ring, no nothing.
Wait a minute, fellas. Here's the ring.
How do you like that? Get up. Okay, partner, we're ready for the kickoff.
Join hands, you lovebirds.
Who is this character?
She's the bride.
Oh, yeah? Not while I got my strength. Tell me, Poodle, didn't you propose to me?
Yes, but I'm with...
Didn't you?
Yes, but you tied me down.
That was before I read the papers. Now I accept. Okay, Toots, let her rip. Oh, no, he proposed to me, too. Please.
Oh, wait. Look at that. We better do something fast.
Yeah. Wait a minute. What's going on here?
Lady!
Lady!
Please.
Yes, indeed. Hold hands, you lovebirds.
Wait a minute. You wouldn't hit a lady with that. Use this. It's bigger. Oh, thanks.
Will you marry me?
Never. No. I'm getting a headache.
Oh, fix your headache.
Larry, an octopus has got me. Larry. Yeah.
Hold still. I gotta hold still.
Now what do you say?
I give up on marrying.
Fatheads anyway. Oh, Mr. Bevan, please hurry.
Hold hands, you lovely bird.
What do you mean, how am I?
Congratulations, both of you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
We're married.
We made it. It's 6 o'clock and you're married.
What happened? What happened?
You're married, kid. Say something.
Help! Help!
Oi, my spooky shtetl of Stooge fans. We just enjoyed the Nyucks and Pokes and Brideless Groom. But let me tell you a little mensch about town story. Now you all know the boys, Mo, Larry, Curly Shemp, even Joe Besser, and even Curly Joe Dorita, the one non-Jewish stooge. But tonight on this Hanukkah special, I want to shine a little light on a fellow who was almost one of them. The great character actor Emil Sitka, He was not Jewish, by the way, but Emil appeared in dozens of stooge shorts. He was the Justice of the Peace, the Butler, the Professor. He was also in a lot of their feature films. You name it. Fans even call him the Fourth Stooge. And get this, after Larry passed in 1975, Moe tried one last time to keep the act going with Emil stepping in as the new middleman, together with Curly Joe. It didn't quite happen because Moe passed away and he wasn't well in that time. But, what if? But here's the real heartwarmer. Straight from Moe's daughter, the late Joan Howard Maurer, in her book Growing Up Stooge. She said that Moe's charity would often start right at home, helping fellow actors in need. And Emil Sitka was one of them. Now, Moe would shop for Thanksgiving dinner himself. We just had the Thanksgiving special where we talked a little about Larry's Thanksgiving. But here's something about Moe. So many years he'd show up at Emil Sitka's door with a full basket, turkey, fixins, and the works. And Emil was so touched, he wrote Moe this beautiful note that Joan records in her book. This is the note that Emil Sitka wrote. You have given me so many reasons to be thankful to you. This wonderful batch of groceries and turkey, which you so carefully shopped for, represents merely your latest in a long chain of goodness. And again, Emil Sitka wrote the following, and I quote, the oil burns for 8 days during Hanukkah, but my torch and gratitude to you forever. So you see, even in the wild world of eye pokes and head bunks, there was real menschlichkeit. Moe kept that torch burning bright. And tonight on Hanukkah, we keep ours lit too. The laughs, the scares, and the kindness that last forever. Emil Sitka actually became even more famous specifically because of this short. This short went into the public domain, as did only a handful of stooge shorts, as was the one that we showed last week, the Disorder in the Court. That was the only one with Curly, and the rest were Shemp shorts, and this one was shown on television quite often and got to be very popular. And of course, as we just saw, he plays a character that I play in real life as the wedding officiant, the Justice of the Peace. And he says, hold hands, you lovebirds. And actually, after the Three Stooges were all gone, Emil was still around for quite a number of years, and he made a few dollars here and there at weddings. People would actually hire him to come and say those words at their wedding, hold hands, you lovebirds. It's a true story. Many, many times he did that. So now it's enough mush. Let's get back to our show. All right, Chag Sameach, you wonderful knuckleheads. Here's a word from our sponsors.
Looking to tie the knot with a blessing and a smile? I'm the Koblenzer Rebbe, and weddings are my specialty. As the great Emil Sitka said, hold hands, you love birds. Ha! I bring tradition, joy, and a touch of
Hi. I heard something about you wanting to get married. Oh. Do you have a marriage license?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so then we could do it. All right. All right. And we have a photographer here too.
Perfect.
How you doing?
Good.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, one tiny drizzle of oil left. 8 nights of latkes. I'm in Big Tsuris. Then I meet this little bottle. Oi, it's multiplying. I'm gonna need a bigger plate. A little...
I have a little dreidel, I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, oh dreidel... Oh, the phone is ringing?
You know, I don't...
What was that? Hello. Yes, this is Rabbi Joe. Who? Miss Mittens, the houseplant from Mr. Lobo's Cinema Insomnia. Are you drunk dialing me? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You're calling because you can't wait to watch our feature, The Little Shop of Horrors, the 1960 film with Audrey Jr. You think it's a documentary? No, Miss Mittens, it's fiction. Roger Corman shot it in 2 days. Well, yes, 2. Well, 3 if you count the dentist scene. You're worried that if someone overwaters you with Manischewitz again, you'll start demanding, feed me, and grow to greenhouse size? Your mom, the weather girl, if Mazel Tov. She told you plants can have growth spurts during Hanukkah miracles? Aha. And you've been feeling a little hungry, lately? For what exactly? Gefilte fish? No. Knishes? No. A nice pastrami on rye? No. That popcorn that I caught you eating at Schenkweiler's Theater? No, you learned your lesson there? Blood? Miss Mittens, that's Mishigas. You're a ficus, not a Venus flytrap with a bar tab. And blood is not kosher. Listen, Bubala, put down that bottle of Schlivowitz. Step away from the soil. No more late-night cinema insomnia marathons. I'm going to have to talk to Mr. Lobo. He's not helping your delusions. You want advice? During Hanukkah, we celebrate oil that lasted 8 days. You want to last 8 days? Switch to seltzer. 2 bubbles. Maybe join Houseplants Anonymous. Miss Mittens, you're slurring your leaves now. Okay. Call me tomorrow when you're sober. And tell your mom shalom from Rabbi Joe. And say hi to Mr. Lobo. Folks, if your philodendron starts quoting Audrey Jr., it's time to cut back on the fertilizer and the schnapps. Alright, let's get started with our feature. And when Seymour tries to keep his mom on the wagon and his plant off the people. Chag Sameach, you leafy lushes.
My name is Sergeant Joe Fink, working a 24-hour shift out of homicide. And this is my workshop, the part of town that everybody knows about, but that nobody wants to see. Where the tragedies are deeper, the ecstasy's wilder, and the crime rate consistently higher than anywhere else. Skid Row, my beat. The most terrifying period in the history of my beat began in a little run-down floor shop called Mushnick's.
Good morning, Mrs. Shiva. How's things today?
Oh, the same as usual, Mr. Mushnick. My sister's nephew, Stanley, died in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Oh, what happened?
He got blown up. Who knows how?
That's nice. Well, you would like, maybe as usual, some flowers for the funeral.
Should all acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind?
I thought possibly, because I always give to you all my funeral business, maybe you should possibly give to me a little cut rate.
Look on me, Mrs. Shiver. What am I, a philatelist? I sell on Skid Row nothing but cheap carnations. And I should give you a cut rate. I can't even afford water for the flowers. To my throat, I would be giving a cut.
I dreamt I dwelt in marble halls with vassals...
Get up from the back! Excuse me, Mrs. Shiver, that's Seymour.
He's a nice boy.
Why don't you let him see?
What, see? Look, here I got a new customer, brand new in the yellow vest. I should let the cleanup boy, but I can't even afford, chase him out right away. Flower as fresh as the springtime mushnicks. Hello? Oh, hello, Dr. Farb. What can I do for you today?
Listen, Mushnik, I haven't got much time. Send me over 2 gladiolas and the fern.
Excellent. That's 2 dozen glads, 1 potted fern.
No, Mushnik. 2 gladiolas and 1 fern.
You want I should put 2 gladiolas in the pot with the ferns?
No, 1 fern, 1 piece. Altogether, 3 pieces. I need it for my waiting room.
Yeah, it's the filling out.
What?
The fillings are out.
Good, I'll drill a bigger hole.
You mean you want 2 crummy gladiolas and 1 crummy fern? What kind of a decoration is that?
Listen, it's my flower budget for the week. Mushnik. Who can be a dentist on Skid Row?
All right, excellent. I'll send Seymour right away. Who am I to argue with science?
Make it snappy. Now you are going to get it. Oh, you are going to get it. Look.
Seymour Krellboyne? Now, Mrs. Shiver, we were talking from the funeral flowers. What the little...
What funeral?
Did you call me Mr. Mushnick?
No. I was calling John D. Rockefeller for to make a loan on my Rolls Royce.
Sorry I said it.
Now, look, Seymour. You take 2 gladiolas. You'll cut them nice and even. You'll take 1 fern. You'll wrap them in a package, and you'll take them to Dr. Farr. Right? Well, go already! Now, what can I do for you, sir?
My name is Burson Fouch.
Excellent. I am Gravis Mushnick.
Oh, that's a good one.
Now, who's going to get my roses?
I'll take care of you, Mrs. Shiver. Come right over here.
You would like maybe some orchids for a nice girl?
No, I think I'd like a couple of dozen carnations.
Carnations.
A person can't turn around these days that somebody shouldn't drop dead.
You've had more than your share of bad luck, Mrs. Shiver.
Bad luck, she calls it. You should have so many people kick off. You would have somebody fall on top of you, too.
What about the carnations?
You said you wanted some roses.
Yeah, for Stanley.
My carnations.
You should see what that Seymour is. Oh, here are your carnations. Wait, I'll wrap them for you.
No, that's all right. I'll leave them here.
Why not? Of course. What else? They are all right?
Well, I've had better.
Well, this is a small shop.
Oh, that's okay. You know, those big places, they're full of pretty flowers, expensive flowers. When you raise them for looks and smell, you're bound to lose some food value. I like to eat these little out-of-the-way places.
Oh! Such a thing, eating flowers.
Look, don't knock it until you try it, huh?
Look what happened.
This is what I was trying to tell you before. Look on him, everybody. Look at the quality of his work. I ask you, when I fired him, where is he going to get such another good job?
You mean I'm fired?
No, I'm electing you president from the United States. Yes, you are fired.
Gravis, you can't do that.
Who can't?
I didn't mean it.
You didn't mean it. You never mean it. You didn't mean it the time you put up the bouquet with the get well card in the funeral parlor and sent the black lilies to the old lady in the hospital. You didn't mean it. But this time, I, Gravis Mushnick, mean it.
He means it.
But gee, Mr. Mushnick, don't I always try to do what's right? And I'm crazy about flowers. I like flowers almost as much as Audrey does.
Excellent, you're fired.
Why don't you give him a chance to resurrect himself?
I give him a chance to quit.
I ain't gonna quit.
You're a brave boy, you're fired.
But that ain't fair, Mr. Mushnick. You know what I'm doing? I'm working on a special surprise plant just for you. I'm growing a plant like you ain't never seen before.
Excellent. I can't even sell the plants I got in my shop. Out, you.
Now, wait a minute. He's got a new kind of plant you ought to look at.
I don't look on flowers, Mr. Yellow Vest. I got ancestors in the flower business for 200 years, but I got one shop on Skid Row, one stinking shop. I don't even like flowers.
No, you don't understand what I mean. Look, I've eaten in flower shops all over the world. And I've noticed that the places that have the most weird and unusual plants do the best business.
See?
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 What is this, a tango? All right. Explain me more.
Well, I remember one place that had a whole wall covered with poison ivy. And people came from miles around to look at that wall, and they stayed to buy.
The owner got rich.
No. He scratched himself to death in an insane asylum.
Oh, that was my cousin Harry.
All right. All right. You go home and you get this fancy schmancy plant and you bring it back here. And if Mr. Yellow Vest Fouch says it's a draw, you still got a job. If he don't, out you go to both of you, right?
Don't worry, you'll like it. You'll see.
KSIK. You've been listening to Music for Old Invalids. Our next selection is entitled Sick Room Serenade.
Seymour, is that you?
Yeah, Ma.
Come in here, look at my tongue.
But, Ma, I already seen your tongue.
Have you no sympathy for your poor mother? Laughing at her and mocking her illness, and she's got one foot in the grave?
Oh, I didn't mean it.
Oh, you never mean it. Now, come on, look at my tongue.
A tongue's a tongue, Ma. They all look the same to me.
Oh, did you stop at Dr. Mallard's and get the results of my tests?
Yeah, he said there's nothing wrong with you.
Oh, not Dr. Mallard. He's one doctor I thought would tell the truth.
He said you should be playing fullback for the Rams.
He wants me dead. I'll bet he's assistant coroner.
Well, I gotta go.
And I know I've got my goiters coming back. I can feel it every morning after breakfast.
Yeah, that's when you take those great...
What you got, a little surprise for me?
Open it up and see.
All right. Dr. Slurp Saddle's famous tonic. Wait here. To be taken internally or externally for pain and neuritis, neuralgia, headache. If hit by a truck, call your physician. Alcoholic content, 98%. Oh, Seymour, you'll never know what this is going to do for me. Oh, I can feel that surge of warm health going through me already.
Look, Ma, I gotta get my plant and hurry back to the shop.
You mean that lousy weed out in the kitchen?
Yeah, and if Mr. Mushnick doesn't like it, he's gonna fire me.
Apparently, my hearing's going out on me. I get the distinct impression that your job security depends on what Mushnick thinks of that thing.
Gee, it looks worse than it did this morning when I went to work. I wish I knew what to do with it.
Well, if you asked me, I'd pitch it out in the trash. I don't like my house cluttered up with rotten vegetables.
Look, Ma, I gotta hurry. Can I bring you anything?
Oh, yeah. Bring me the evening news. They're running a self-diagnosis contest. The winner gets to go to Mayo Clinic.
Bye, Ma.
Bye, son. I'll see you the rosy edge of dawn. Drink to me, oh, feel with thine eyes, and I will...
Hey, put this on my bill.
Well, here it is, everybody. What do you think of it?
Well, it sure is different.
It looks delicious, but don't you think it's kind of stale?
Well, it hasn't been feeling too well.
You call that a fancy plant? It looks like it never spent an LT day in its entire life.
I don't care. I like it anyway.
You like even skunk cabbage.
Yeah. What kind of a plant is this, Seymour?
Well, I'm not sure. I got the seeds from a Japanese gardener over on Central Avenue. He found them in with an order he got from a plantation next to a cranberry farm.
Fine. You don't even know what is this plant you're growing.
Well, I gave it a name.
What name?
Oh, gee.
What, you gave it a dirty name? You can't even mention it?
Well, I named it Audrey Jr.
You named it after me. Oh, really? Well, that's the most exciting thing anyone's ever done to me.
You poor kid.
I don't think it's so much I should keep on spending $10 a week on your salary.
But, Gravis, he named it after me.
I know, and if they keep it, they'll name it Mushnick's Folly because I'll be in jail for non-payment of taxes.
Are you crazy?
Who?
You. That's probably the only plant of its kind in the world. Don't you realize if Seymour can nurse that thing back to health, you'll have people coming here from all over?
You think so, you found?
I know so, you Mushnick. Now, that's all I'm saying on the subject. Besides, I've got to get home. My wife's making gardenias for dinner.
Good night, you pal.
Good night. And I'll see you tomorrow. Crazy about kosher flowers.
He's a nice man.
Maybe he knows what he's talking about. Maybe he's not so stupid. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll keep you and this dumbbell junior for a week. If you can nurse it back to health, you both can stay. If you can't, you're both fired.
Oh, gee, thank you, Mr. Mushnick.
Don't feel sad, Seymour.
Don't waste your pity on me, Audrey. I'm not worth it.
Who says you're not?
Everybody.
Yeah, I know. But I think you're a fine figurative of a man, and I know that Audrey Jr. will be the sweetest thing in the whole wide world.
Well, I don't know. I've given it every kind of fancy fertilizer and atomic plant food and distilled mineral water you can buy, but it just gets sicker and sicker.
Don't worry. You're going to be another Luther Glendale.
Pasadena.
Burbank. Good night, Seymour.
Night, Audrey. What's the matter, little plant? Haven't I done everything I could for you? Where did I goof? You're the first little plant I ever tried to grow, and if you die, I don't know what I'll do. Please don't die. I'll get you some water, okay? You opened up just like you do every night at sunset. I wish I knew how to make you grow. Here, let me move this out of your way so you can breathe. Ow! Ow, 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 ow! Hey, what happened? How come you woke up? Blood? You like blood? Oh, you must be kidding. Well, we'll see. What I'm doing for you. Ow! Oh, who would have thought it? Well, I guess there's just no accounting for people's tastes.
Special coming this Saturday morning, the Melvin the Dinosaur Hanukkah special with special guests Igor the Hasidic skeleton and Murray the goat.
We're lighting up the night, Dino style. Plenty of latkes for everyone if you can catch them.
And more spins than a dreidel and
Please don't watch the Melvin Dinosaur Hanukkah special on Shabbos. Just set up your VCR. You can watch it after Havdalah.
And now, ghouls and girls, it's time to return to the candlelit chills and kosher thrills of Rabbi Joe's Midnight Monster Manor Hanukkah special. Stay tuned, if you dare.
Don't touch that.
Hoi gewalt, my carnivorous kreplach. We're deep into the Little Shop of Horrors. Roger Corman's 1960 cheapy classic, and it's our Hanukkah special here at Rabbi Joe's Midnight Monster Manor. Now, the Little Shop of Horrors was shot in just 2 days on a budget smaller than my bar mitzvah gelt collection. But don't let that fool you. This flick's got a cast that's pure gold, or at least pure schlock gold. Let's start with our nebbish hero, Seymour Krelboyne, the clumsy schmendrick who crosses a Butterworth with a Venus flytrap and ends up with a plant that's hungrier than me at a deli buffet. Played by Jonathan Hayes, who just passed away this year. A regular in Corman's Quickies. Poor Seymour, he's got the charisma of a wilted petunia, but you root for him anyway. His sweetheart, the original Audrey, a sweet ditzy and named after the plant, or is it the other way around? That's Jackie Joseph, who brings that wide-eyed innocence, like a nice Jewish girl from the shtetl who wandered onto Skid Row. Fun fact, she later popped up in Gremlins. Talk about going from man-eating plants to creature chaos. Then there's the boss, Gravis Mushnik. Oh, what a name! Mel Wells plays him with that thick Yiddish accent and perpetual scowl, like every overworked florist who's one bad day from closing shop. Wells was also a Corman staple. He played the beatnik in A Bucket of Blood and many other roles. He is a man who could chew scenery faster than Audrey Jr. chews up, well, you know, all the people that she eats up. And don't forget Dick Miller as Burson Fouch, the guy who eats flowers, and he says, I really dig kosher flowers. Now, Miller was in everything Corman touched, a real character actor king, and here he's munching petals like they're potato latkes. And yes, he was also in Gremlins. And saving, of course, the best for last, that tiny role that steals the whole shebang. Pretty much every VHS copy of this movie, because it was in the public domain, like to mention that it starred Jack Nicholson as Wilbur Forrest, the masochistic dental patient who loves pain, or magazines about Spain, more than I love a good knish. No Novocaine, it dulls the senses. This was early Jack before he went cuckoo in The Shining, but you can already see that wide grin there at the dentist. And of course, the real star is Audrey Jr. herself, that bloodthirsty blob of botanical badness. That's actually voiced by writer, Corman regular Charles B. Griffith. Feed me. More like, oi, I'm famished. What a mishmash of talent in this low-budget miracle, lasting longer than the nace of the Hanukkah oil. Now back to the shop before the plant gets hangry. A good yontiv, you blooming maniacs.
Well, I guess there's just no accounting for people's tastes.
You're the most magnanimous person in the whole world.
Look on him, Audrey. Isn't he beautiful? Isn't he delicious? Isn't he got the $2 raise? What happened to your fingers?
Bee stings. So how come I'm all of a sudden so wonderful?
5 bees, one for each finger?
10 bees. Did you say I was getting a $2 raise?
Correct, my very excellent Seymour. 10 bees.
What did I do now?
Don't you know what you did? Just look.
Oh, boy, look at that. It grew. It's almost a foot long.
Isn't it empirical?
It grows like a cold sore from the lip. Oh, hello, young pretty ladies. What can Gravis Mushnik do for you?
Well, we saw your sign outside. About the Audrey Jr. So we thought we'd come in and take a look.
Well, give a look.
That makes 4 people today who've come in just to look at it.
Oh, Dick, Shirley. Is that just too much? Oh, what kind of plant is it?
It's an Audrey Jr.
Where was it you got in trouble with 10 bees?
Well, is that all? I mean, doesn't it have a scientific name?
Yes, of course, but who could denounce it? You would like maybe to buy something.
Well, we don't have any money, except $2,000. But that's just to spend on flowers.
So we don't have any of our own.
Isn't that a drag?
You got just $2,000 just to spend on flowers?
That's right.
Who died? The Chamber of Commerce?
Well, we're from Cucamonga High School. We're building a float for the Rose Bowl parade. Which is made out of flowers. Thousands of them. And we're on the committee that picks the florists.
And then glues on the flowers.
Gee, that sure is a mad plant. Wow, yeah.
Seymour here invented it.
He did.
Thousands of flowers. Girls, please don't damage the horticulturist. Tell me, how come you don't buy all these thousands of flowers from Gravis Mushnik? My flowers got something the others don't.
What's that?
They're cheap.
Well, gee, if your shop is good enough to develop the Audrey Jr., I guess it can get us everything we need. Yeah, we'll talk it over with the rest of the committee.
Excellent.
Well, we gotta run now. Bye, all. Bye, Seymour.
Bye. Bye, girls. A son. A son. Look, Audrey. I got a son.
Oh, gee, Mr. Mushnik.
What, Mr. Mushnik? I don't want you should call me Mr. Mushnik anymore. I want you should call me Dad.
Okay, Dad.
Isn't that beautiful?
Seymour Krelboin, Come over here, my son. I want to talk on you about the future. Look on this fly trap. Look on it. Soon we got no more Skid Row. We will be rich, us. I am building for you a giant greenhouse in which you are making impossible flowers, which in turn I am selling at ridiculous prices in my giant new flower saloon in Beverly Hills. Do you see that big sign in the sky? It is saying, Gravis Mushnik in French.
Isn't it exciting? And we'll have an orchestra right by the cash register. And Gravis will wave his arms, and the orchestra will play Mendelssohn's Spring Song. And I'll come out in a gown wrapped by somebody expensive and say,
The carnations are $600 a dozen, 2 dozen for 1,000. It's a bargain.
Get 'em while they last.
Stop shouting! My Uncle Moshe's brother Yankel just passed away, Tenafly, New Jersey. Tell me, how much are the carnations today?
The carnations are $600 a dozen.
And why are they letting him run around loose?
Please excuse my son, Mrs. Shiver. Just point to anything in the store and it is yours.
I mean,
That's right.
the cash register maybe, huh?
Wait a minute. Here are several dozen carnations on the house courtesy of Gravis Mushnik the Bloom Tycoon.
That's my dad.
Thanks. Thanks very much. Only tell me, why are you so happy? Not only did my Uncle Moshe's brother Yankel die, Tenafly, New Jersey, you should also give some flowers to that poor dead plant there. Good morning, Mr. Mushnik. Good morning.
Good morning, Mrs. Shiver.
Look what happened to my plant, Dad.
Who are you calling Dad? Who?
Oh, no. And it was so beautiful just a few seconds ago.
Excellent. Just a few seconds ago, I gave away dozens of carnations free to Mrs. Shiver.
I didn't mean it.
You have perhaps an explanation.
No, but if you give me a minute, I'll think of one.
I can see it all now. We are in the poorhouse. That big sign in the sky, it is reading, Seymour Krelboyne, rest in peace, in Arabic.
Oh, you've got to give him another chance.
You promised me a week, Mr. Mushnik. I'll sit up all night with that plant. It'll be healthy in the morning. You'll see. I promise. I promise.
Feed me. Feed me. Feed me.
Who said that? You said that. You said that.
Feed me.
You said that. You can talk. I got a talking plant. Say it again.
Feed me.
Oh, boy. I never been to college and I ain't been around much. But I'd have been willing to bet there ain't no such thing as a talking plant. But I'll take your word for it. Gee, Junior, I'd like to feed you. But I used up all my fingers. Oh. Look at me, I'm all cut to pieces. But maybe I can find another drop here someplace. That's the best I can do.
More.
But I'm already anemic.
Feed me more.
Gee, Junior, I'd be happy to give you anything I got. But I gotta keep a little blood for myself or I'll be in worse shape than Mom. I'm sorry, Junior. Oh, I'll go for a walk. Maybe I'll think of something. Feed me. Feed me. Look, Chowhound, don't bother me. I got problems of my own.
Feed me.
I'm sorry, pal. I'm fresh out of blood. Talk to somebody else.
I'm hungry.
I don't care what you are. Can't you see I'm knocked out? I just killed a man. I'm a murderer. You think it's fun to be a murderer? You think it's fun to haul around a sack full of
food?
Oh, no, Junior. What kind of guy do you think I am?
I'm starved.
Well, maybe just a snack.
Huh? That looks great. Now, that is what I call a salad. What do you call that salad?
Caesarean.
Well, before the next course, I think I'll have a nice cigar. All right? You would like maybe a cigar? You don't smoke cigars. What am I thinking about? Where are the matches? Oh, oi. You know what I found?
What?
I'm looking for the matches, and I found I left the money in the other suit.
Here's your mock chicken legs.
You don't have any money?
So what else is new?
All right. I made a mistake. After all, a man is entitled.
Go on, this is your story. I'll wait for the punch.
Don't get smart with me, girlie. I'll have you know that in my shop in the cash register, I'm having the total day's receipts, which is summing up to more than $9. You'll bring the rest of the food, then I'll go to the shop and get the money.
You're playing my favorite song. Now look here, Buster. One of you is going to go down right now and get the loot, while the other one stays here until the first one gets back, if you get what I mean.
Oh, fine. In this fancy schmancy restaurant, you are holding hostages, right?
Right.
Excellent. You eat up, Audrey. I'll be back in a flash with the cash.
Bye, Gravis.
To be jolly. La, 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 la. It's the season to be jolly. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. It's the season to be jolly. La, 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 la.
Shalom, my blooming bubbalas. We're knee-deep in Roger Corman's 1960 The Little Shop of Horrors, the cheap, cheeky black comedy shot in 2 days for pocket change. But oi, you keep asking, how does it stack up against that big singing, dancing 1986 Frank Oz remake? Feh, it's like comparing gefilte fish to a Broadway extravaganza. Maybe both are delicious, but totally different noshes. First, the original, my favorite. Pure low-budget schlock horror comedy, black and white, gritty skid row, dark humor with a bite harder than the bad Knish. Seymour's a total nebbish played by Jonathan Hayes, Audrey's sweet but no pushover by Jackie Joseph, and Mushnick's the grumpy boss, Mel Wells, and the plant, Audrey Jr., a creepy puppet that looks like it crawled out of the Nightmare on a dime budget. Highlight, young Jack Nicholson as the pain-loving dental patient. No Novocaine, it dulls the senses. Pure Michigas gold. But now, flash forward to 1986. Frank Oz's musical spectacular based on the off-Broadway hit with tunes by Alan Menken and Howard Ashman. Colorful, catchy songs like Suddenly Seymour and Feed Me. Rick Moranis as an adorable nerd Seymour. Ellen Greene reprising her stage role as the dreamy Audrey. And they got real chemistry like latkes and sour cream. The plant, Audrey too, a massive sassy puppet, voiced by Levi Stubbs of the Four Tops, belting out Green Mother from Outer Space, special effects that won Oscar nods, and the dentist here was Steve Martin as a leather-clad sadist on a motorcycle. hilarious, plus Bill Murray as the masochist patient, cameos galore. So the big difference, 1960 is a straight dark comedy with a tragic ending. The plant wins, faces of victims in the blooms. The 1986 theatrical, it's a comedy, happy ending. In the traditional sense of comedy, heroes triumph. But the director's cut restores the dark one closer to the original on the stage, so where Audrey 2 turns into a giant kaiju-sized monster attacking the city. Budget, $30,000 versus $25 million. Tone, grim B-movie versus campy musical satire. Both miracles, one with oil lasting 8 days, the other with a plant that just won't quit. I prefer the original, the Corman one. The other one, a little too colorful for me. So now let's get back to our 1960 feast before Audrey Jr. gets cranky. Chag Sameach, you musical maniacs.
You flush now, right?
Bring me whiskey, rum, wine, gin, bourbon.
What?
Scotch, rye, tequila, sake, Manischewitz.
Did you bring the money?
Don't bug me with the money. I got to get drunk now.
What flipped him? I don't know.
Look, here, take it. Bring me anything. Bring me everything. Creme de menthe, everything you got.
Okay. Travis, what happened?
Don't ask.
You look like you've seen a ghost.
Ghosts I could handle. Don't ask.
Why don't you tell me? Maybe I could help you.
Help you couldn't.
Try and eat something. It'll calm your aggravation.
In mine own shop. Audrey, you wouldn't believe it.
I wish you'd break out and tell me.
All right, I'll tell you tomorrow, right after I am telling the police.
But Mushnick didn't come to the police. If he had, that might have been the finish of the unhappy story. It was not.
You wouldn't be interested in selling your half interest in this place, huh?
Mr. Mushnick, we talked to the committee, and they said we could use your flour on the float. Hey, guess what? We're going to feature Audrey Jr. Right on top.
Boy.
Can't you just picture it?
I can picture it.
Oh, won't the people just eat it up?
Eat up the people.
And we're going to have the big part of it open, so she can sit in it.
Who?
The queen, with her crown and scepter. She'll be so cute. Oh, you could just eat her up.
Eat up the girl.
Oh, there's Seymour! Oh, Seymour!
I got a toothache. Leave me alone.
You. Come
my jaw! I got a toothache. It hurts. Oh, let go of my jaw. Oh.
Now, Seymour, talk on me.
I got a toothache. What do you want to talk about?
That plant, is that a nice subject for to talk?
The plant is great. It's 4 times bigger than it was yesterday.
I saw. How come the plant is now so big?
I don't know. But look at all them people out there. We only been open a half hour, and we already done $70 worth of business.
85. Now, look, Seymour. You gave this plant a fancy name, Audrey Jr., but I want to know right now, what do just people call it?
Well, it's a cross between a butterworth and a Venus flytrap.
Venus flytrap? And what are the habits of this Venus flytrap?
Well, the book says it eats insects. It eats them 3 times in its life, and then it's full grown.
Excellent. And how many times is this one eat?
Well, once or twice.
You don't remember?
Well, this is kind of an unusual type flytrap.
That is a possibility.
It may never eat again. I don't see how it could get any bigger.
Then you think it don't need any more flies?
Yeah. Oh, my tooth is just killing me.
All right, excellent. You run along to the dentist. I'll take care of things here.
Thanks, boss.
Travis, we've got to order more flowers. Tons of them.
I'm making lots of money.
keep your bill up to date, you deadbeat.
Go
ahead and run, you sniveling dog. Go ahead and run. I'm glad I hurt you. I'm glad.
Seymour,
Got a bad tooth, huh?
No, I thought this was the men's room.
Seymour, come back here, you bad dog. You get in there. So, you are the young man who ruined my gladiolas, huh? Sit down. Come on.
Guess what?
My tooth stopped hurting. Yes, I know. Let's see. Shut up and open up. Uh-huh.
Oh,
Does that hurt?
yeah.
Good, you haven't felt anything yet. Uh-huh.
It's just over here.
Seymour, who was the dentist here, you or me? I'll find that tooth. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Look at that stalagmite. But don't worry, it's going to be an easy one, Seymour. I won't even use Novocaine.
Oh, you broke the mirror in my mouth.
Well, don't tell me about it, stupid. Just swallow it. All right, yes. Let's see now, Seymour. Let's see, I'll have this one, and that one, and I have to have this one, Seymour.
It's only one tooth.
Seymour, who is the dentist here, you or me? Are you practicing dentistry without a license? No. All right. Uh-huh. Let's see. Oh, shh. Seymour, Seymour, don't be mad. Look at that. Will you look at that, Seymour? I didn't know you were an elk. You know, I can't afford an assistant. So I get this ready instant mix. It doesn't last very long, but it tastes good. All right, Seymour.
Oh, stay away from me.
Seymour.
You're trying to kill me.
A duel. Aha.
Is this Doctor's office?
Just a minute.
Oh, yes. I see it is.
You can come in now.
My name is Wilberforce.
Wilberforce what?
Just Wilberforce. My first name is Wilbur. My last name is Force. I don't have a middle name.
Well, you have an appointment, maybe?
No, but you were very highly recommended to me by one of your patients, Mrs. S. Shiva. I do a lot of undertaking for her relatives.
Well, as you can see, I have a customer now, and I'm all booked up for the rest of the day, so you'll have to come back tomorrow.
Oh, I couldn't do that. I have 3 or 4 abscesses, a touch of pyorrhea, 9 or 10 cavities. I lost my pivot tooth, and I'm in terrible pain.
Well, I can't help you today.
Oh, that's all right. I'll just wait outside. The patient came to me with a large hole in his abdomen, caused by a fire poker used on him by his wife. He almost bled to death and gangrene had set in. I didn't give him much of a chance. There were other complications. The man had cancer, tuberculosis, leprosy, and a touch of the grip. I decided to operate.
My patient just left. You could come in now.
Oh, goody. I didn't see the other man leave.
Well, he went out the back door.
You know, most people don't like to go to the dentist, but I rather enjoy it myself, don't you? I mean, there's a real feeling of growth, of progress when that old drill goes in. I mean, I'd almost rather go to the dentist than anywhere, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Now, no Novocaine. It dulls the senses.
This is gonna hurt you more than it is me.
Oh, goody, goody, here it comes. Oh, my God, don't
Well, I made a lot of holes, and now I gotta fill it up with this here silver stuff.
Well, aren't you gonna pull any?
Well,
Oh, go on.
well, it's your mouth.
Well, Dr. Favre, it's been quite an afternoon. I can truly say I've never enjoyed myself so much. I'll recommend you to all my friends.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye now.
Feed me. Oh, take it easy, Dracula. What do you think I'm carrying here, my dirty laundry? I'm coming already. This should be enough for anybody. Well, goodbye, Dr. Favre. You may have been a crummy dentist, but you were a nice fella. I never meant to kill anybody in my whole life. I've killed 2 in the last 2 days. Well, but you asked for it coming after me with that knife and all. Fun voyage, Dr. Favre. You want anything else? See you in the morning.
Come in.
Hey, Joe.
Come on in, Frank. How's the wife, Frank?
Not bad, Joe.
Glad to hear it. The kids?
Lost one yesterday.
Lost one, eh? How'd that happen?
Playing some matches.
Well, those are breaks.
Yeah, I guess so.
Got a strange one here. Railroad people say they lost one of their best detectives the other night.
Oh, yeah?
Down by the yards. He was watching the refrigerator cars.
Refrigerator cars?
Ice thieves.
Oh, yeah? What happened?
Don't know. Vanished. Blood on tracks.
Clues?
None.
Anything else?
Dennis. Farb.
Dead?
Missing.
Clues?
Blood in office.
Where?
Skid Row.
Ideas?
None.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandments and commanded us to kindle the Hanukkah lights.
Amen.
Ah, my fertile fiends and ghoulish gardeners, we're here at Rabbi Joe's Midnight Monster Manor Hanukkah Special, presenting the Little Shop of Horrors. We've talked the cast, we compared remakes, now let's give a big mazel tov to the crew behind this 1960 miracle. Now this flick was shot in a blistering 2 days plus a little pickup, on a budget that wouldn't buy you a decent brisket. But the folks behind the camera, pure geniuses, turning scraps into a cult classic that outlasted the Hanukkah oil. The king of cheapies himself, director and producer Roger Corman. The man who launched 1,000 B movies, Poe adaptions, monster flicks, you name it. We just lost him about 1.5 years ago. Legend has it that he made this one on a bet that he could shoot a feature in 2 days using leftover sets from another film, which he did often actually. Oy, what a hustler. Corman gave starts to Nicholson, Coppola, Scorsese. He was the godfather of indie horror. The twisted mind behind the script was Charles B. Griffith. He wrote the story, inspired by rumors of real man-eating plants. He even voiced Audrey Jr.'s iconic "Feed Me" lines and also played the robber who gets eaten by the same plant that he voices himself. Now Griffith was Corman's go-to scribe for wild stuff like Attack of the Crab Monsters. That's a really strange movie, by the way. Now he based the characters here in the Little Shop of Horrors on real Skid Row folks he knew. Dark, funny, and faster than you can say Suddenly Seymour. And he didn't need AI like I do to write scripts. Production designer Daniel Haller turned leftover sets into that grimy flower shop magic. He worked on tons of Corman classics and later directed some himself. Cinematography by Arch Dalzell, sometimes credited as Archie R. Dalzell, making black and white look moody on No Time and No Money. Also, this movie was somewhat based on Dragnet, as you can tell by the opening narration. Now, really, the whole ragtag team reused sets and pretty much most of the idea of the story from A Bucket of Blood, which was actually Dick Miller's only starring role. He was always the bit man, but that was the one where he basically played the same character that Seymour is. So talk about recycling miracles. And then actually, another movie which we might show was The Creature from the Haunted Sea. Basically the same story again. The Mishpacha proved that you don't need a big budget for big laughs and big screens. That's a true Hanukkah story. A little creativity, a few drops of pure oil that lasts forever. So, now back to the shop, and don't let the plant catch you slacking. Chag Sameach, you behind-the-scenes bubbies.
Now we were on the case. Officer Frank Stooley and me. My name is Fink. Sergeant Joe Fink. Fella Fink.
Morning, Mr. Mushnick. Oh, boy, look at that.
Hi, everybody. Oh, my gosh.
Ain't it something?
It's monstrositous.
Yeah.
And to think that you did it.
Gee, Audrey, you don't have to kiss me.
Don't you like me to kiss you?
Yeah, but you don't like to kiss me.
Why shouldn't I?
Nobody else ever did.
Well, I do like to.
You do? You really do? You like to kiss me?
Sure I do.
Would you like to kiss me again?
Okay.
That plant?
Oh, boy, you kiss good, Audrey.
Oh, I guess I just have a good kisser.
How did it?
Would you like to go out on a date with me some night?
When?
Oh, sure I would, Seymour. Anytime.
Tonight?
Okay.
Oh, boy.
About that plant.
We got the list of flowers for the float, for the rose parade.
I can't talk to you now, girls. Talk on Audrey.
We got the list for the float.
Okay, let's take a look at it.
Okay.
Hi, what's cooking?
Look at my plant.
My, what a large one.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Shiva. What's new?
Oh, I got terrible news. My nephew Frankie just lost his little boy.
Oh, that's too bad. How did it happen?
He was playing with matches.
Would you like to buy maybe some flowers?
About 50 cents worth.
Well, I'll get them for you. Look at my plant.
I'm looking.
Your name Gravis Mushnick?
Mushnick Gravis. That's my name.
Just want to ask you a few questions.
Questions, ask me.
Just want to ask you a few questions.
I didn't do it.
Do what?
Whatever.
Ever see this man?
Man, see picture.
Why are you so nervous?
You got a guilty conscience?
No, why should I?
Ever see this man?
Man, see the picture. Dr. Farb.
So you know him?
My dentist. He maybe did something.
Disappeared.
Blood in his office.
The other man, too. Blood in the railroad tracks.
And few spare parts.
Dr. Farb is murdered.
Is he?
No, who knows? Not me.
What do you think?
He doesn't know anything.
Okay, Mushnick. If you hear anything about these men, call our office.
Sure, I'll be glad to cooperate with the police.
Hello, Aunt Sitting.
Oh, isn't it terrible what happened to your boy, Frankie?
Those are the brakes.
All right, Seymour. Now, you tell me if that plant is finished all grown up.
He's finished all growing up.
You wouldn't kid your father.
My father came home?
Me, idiot! It's a figure of speech. Now, look. I can't stand any more of that plant. It's growing me out of house and home.
Well, it ain't gonna grow anymore, I promise.
How can you be so sure?
It ate 3 times already.
What did it eat this time?
Well, about 1 million Japanese beetles.
So don't eat no more.
It's full.
Gravis! a lady from some kind of a committance outside. I think it's important.
Excellent. By the by, I understand you want to take Audrey out on a date tonight. That's very good with me, because I am staying to keep an eye on that Meshuggah plant.
Where are we going to go tonight, Seymour?
Oh, I just remembered I don't have any money.
Well, that's okay. We could take a walk along the ocean or something.
I got a great idea. We can eat dinner at my house. My mom's a great cook.
Well, that's swell.
Oh, boy, I'll call her later and tell her.
Oh, that's remarkable.
You lied?
Oh, I neither like nor dislike anything, my goodness. I happen to represent the Society of Silent Flower Observers of Southern California.
How about that?
Tell me, who created this magnificent bloom?
I did, me.
And what might your name be?
Seymour Krelboyne with a K.
Krelboyne.
Krelboyne.
Raised it in a coffee can.
This? Well, tell me, Mr. Krelboyne, is this a freak, or can more be raised from the seeds?
We should live so long.
Well, I don't think they're going to be any more, Miss,
Fuschtwanger. Mrs. Hortense Fuschtwanger.
I think this is going to be the only one, Mrs. Fuschtwanger.
Fuschtwanger.
Fuschtwanger?
It's probably indigestible anyway.
At any rate, I have the honor to tell you, Seymour Krelboyne, that you have been selected to receive the annual trophy of the Society of Silent Flower Observers of Southern California.
A trophy? Me?
Such is justice.
Tell me, when do you suppose those large buds will open?
Well, according to what the book says about the plants that I crossed, they should open day after tomorrow at sunset.
Ah, very well. Then I shall return at that time to present the trophy. Good day. Remarkable.
Oh, boy, I'm going to get a trophy.
Oh, Seymour, I'm so proud of you.
Oh, a real trophy for Audrey Jr. We can put it on the float. In the Rose Parade.
Oh, boy.
Don't look at me. I'm a terrible sight. I'm a complete sea hag.
She always says that.
Oh, well, it's true. I haven't been feeling very well lately.
Audrey, this is my ma, Winifred Krelboyne. Ma, this is Audrey Fulcourt. She's my girl.
Hi, Audrey. Are you hungry?
I sure am. I could eat a hearse.
Oh, well, sit right down, and I'll go get the first course.
Sit here, Audrey. You want me to take your sweater?
Yes.
Never mind that. Well, now try this.
It tastes like cough syrup.
Dr. Flynn's cough syrup. A toast?
To Audrey Jr.
No, to Audrey Sr.
You glutton, you. Tonight I keep an eye on you. I don't let nobody get near you.
Here comes the soup. Now, don't touch it till I get the flavoring.
Gee, Audrey, you sure look good by candlelight.
Oh, do I really, Seymour?
Yeah.
Here you are. Now, try it.
Sure smells different.
It's different.
Some kind of oil, isn't it?
Cod liver oil. It's wonderful for the colon.
And that's sulfur powder on the top.
Oi, my leafy latke lovers, it's time for a little Hanukkah harmony here in the Manor. I call this one I have a little shop of horrors, the Hanukkah version, sung to the tune of I have a little dreidel. Spin along if you know it, or if the plant makes you. I crossed two little plants one day out in the flower shop. A butterworth and flytrap mix. Oh, it wouldn't grow, it wouldn't stop. Oh, little shop of horrors, little shop of schlemiels, little shop of terrors. Feed me Seymour plus the meals. The oil burned for 8 whole nights, a miracle so grand. But Audrey Jr.'s appetite, it lasts for 8 victims on demand. Oh, Seymour, oi, what did you do? That plant's a real kvetcher. It wants a dentist, wants a bum, and maybe Mushnik for a stretcher. Oi, little shop of horrors, little shop of blooming dread. Little shop of terrors, no more lot, 'cause it's people instead. So light your candles and spin your dreidel. Eat your sufgani oat with glee. But if your houseplant starts to talk, run fast and don't feed it to me. Feed it me. I should learn how to read. There you have it, creeps. A Hanukkah miracle with teeth. Now spin that dreidel before Audrey Jr. spins you. Chag Sameach, you singing schlemiels.
Feed me. I'm hungry.
Open it is.
Feed me.
I didn't hear it.
Feed me.
I heard it.
I want food.
A talking plant we got.
I'm hungry.
No. Hungry. And other fine kettle from fish. Who would you like to have tonight?
You look fat enough.
We not only got a talking plant, we got one that makes with smart cracks. Will you listen to me, you botanical bum? Food you wouldn't get. Not from Gravis Mushnik.
I'm starved.
Excellent. You would unpopulate the old Skid Row. Well, you can forget about it. You wouldn't get fed from Gravis Mushnik tonight. Good night.
You'll get yours.
I kind of like this chow mein.
If it tastes a little bitter, it's because it's made of Chinese herbs and it's flavored with acromyas and Epsom salts.
There ain't another cook in the whole world like my ma.
That's what your old man said before the louse ran out on me. You know, if you're going to be married, you got to be a good cook.
Well, maybe you could teach me.
You think they're getting married?
Well, he hasn't asked me yet.
Who hasn't?
Seymour.
Seymour's too young to get married. Look here, a boy's got to go out and play around a little bit. Go out on the make and have a ball.
Seymour, I don't want to have a ball. I want to be with Audrey.
Oh, no, look, Seymour. You promised you wouldn't get married until you bought me an iron lung.
You've been breathing for years, Ma.
Well, it ain't easy. It ain't easy, son.
Nobody here. Black Cat, 13th John, Friday the 13th is stupid superstition. All right, you. Come out of there.
Don't shoot, mister. I'm old and sick. I wouldn't hurt even a fly.
Come out in the light where I can see you.
Man, please don't shoot. Please. Please, I'm only Gravis Mushnik. You wouldn't want to kill me. Where would you hide the body?
Don't worry, I'm not going to shoot you. Not unless you try something.
Try something? I never tried anything in my life. I wouldn't try anything now. You want my money? Take it. You want I should go out and steal you some more? That's all right, too. I'll do it.
Thank you very much. I like your brand of hospitality.
You'll excuse it isn't more. I'm only a poor florist.
Yeah. We got about $30 here. Come on now. Where's the rest of it? I was in here this afternoon. I saw about 30,000 people in here. They must have spent some money. Where is it?
There ain't no more money. They came in to look on the plant. It's a big attraction. Audrey Jr.
The plant. Don't try to slow me, Jim. 30,000 squares didn't come in here just to look for a plant. I want it.
I don't got no more money, honest. Believe me.
Okay, let's try this. 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, I ain't got no more money, honest.
All right, try it the other way around. 5, 4, 3, 2.
All right, already.
Okay, Big Bad, where?
In the plant.
In the plant.
The big plant, Audrey Jr.
Inside the big leaf.
That's right, inside.
How do you get it open?
Just knock.
In there?
Inside, in the bottom.
I don't see anything.
Way inside. Right in the bottom. I did. I don't care what you got at the date with Audrey tonight. I am no more sitting up with that no-good Nick plant.
But gee, Mr. Mushnick, you don't have to sit up with it anymore. It's all grown up now.
Excellent, smart guy. How do you know it don't be hungry no more?
Well, because...
Tonight you are staying. Then tomorrow they're coming and they're going to give you a trophy, and then after that we are getting rid once and for all for that plant.
Getting rid of it? Why?
Don't ask why. Why? The end. Into the garbage can. Aloha. Oy. Yes, Mrs. Shiva.
Oh, Seymour, you wonderful plant.
Oh, that's all right, Audrey. I'll grow other plants, even more wonderful ones.
I know you will. Did you figure out what we're doing tonight?
Yeah, we're going to a place full of beautiful flowers.
We have to stay here.
Yeah.
Well, never mind. We'll have a picnic. It'll be just like going to the country.
Oh,
Did you
boy.
get the 3,000 pink azaleas for the arbor and the 9,000 yellow mums for the border?
Yeah,
and the roses for the front and the back?
No, around the back. What do you mean you're going to a picnic at night with that full-quart girl?
Don't you like Audrey, Ma?
She's out after your money.
I don't have any money.
Oh, she's a smart one. She'll latch onto you until you get some, and then goodbye fortune.
But Audrey's an honest girl, Ma.
Yeah, never trust a woman who's too healthy.
But Audrey had a bad cold a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, a cold, a puny cold. Why don't you get yourself a real female with something decent like mononucleosis or gallstones?
Well, maybe she could catch something like that.
The only thing she'll catch is you.
And she'd take you off to some shady sanitarium and leave me to chiropractors and faith healers. I know when I'm not wanted.
Oh, gee, Ma.
Don't feel sorry for me. I'll just find a nice wet alley somewhere and curl up and wait for the end.
Oh, please don't die till I get back, will you, Ma? I'll take care of you. I'll always take care of you. I promise.
Yeah.
Bye. Gee, Audrey, I never tasted food like this before.
The peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Peanut butter and jelly, what does that cure?
Nothing. It's just a food.
Well, what good is it if it doesn't clear up pimples or shrink your sinus tissues or something?
You're just being silly, Seymour. Seymour, what do you want to be?
Well, I want to grow things. If I had a lot of money, I'd go to the South Seas where they grow the most fabulous plants in the world.
Well, that sounds exciting.
Yeah.
I'd like to go to the South Seas, too.
There's no reason why you couldn't go.
Would you take me with you, Seymour?
Oh, I couldn't very well go without you, Audrey.
Why not?
Oh, because I'm in love with you, Audrey.
Oh, I'm in love with you too, Seymour.
Feed me.
What'd you say?
I was just kidding.
I'm hungry.
Seymour.
I didn't mean it.
Why did you say it?
Oh, food.
You didn't even say that.
Oh, yes, I did. I said it.
Oh, I'm looking right at you.
I'm a ventriloquist.
You're what?
A ventriloquist.
Feed me.
Seymour, do you feel all right?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, then stop all this nonsense and kiss me.
I'm dying from hunger.
All right, if you're so hungry, eat something, but forget about me.
Gee, I'm sorry, Audrey.
Give me to eat.
If you can't control yourself, I'm going home.
I need some chow.
Oh.
An empty stomach.
Audrey, please wait. Listen to me.
I've listened to all the nonsense I want to hear, Seymour. You're a nut. You tell me that you love me, and then you act like a complete idiot.
Please listen, Audrey. I'll be able to explain everything soon.
Well, why can't you explain now?
Because so many things are so important. I want to marry you, but I got to take care of Mom. Well, that plant in there is going to make it all come true. Tomorrow they're going to give me a trophy, and I'll be famous. I'll be a big botanist. And then we can go to the South Seas, just like we planned and all.
But that doesn't have anything to do with what went on in there. When you're ready to come to your senses, Seymour, then I'll talk to you. Good night, Seymour.
I'm getting pretty tired of you.
I need food.
I don't care what you need. Look what you've done to me. You not only made a butcher out of me, but you drove my girl away.
Shut up and bring on the food.
Don't tell me to shut up. You shut up. Who raised you from a bunch of little seeds? Who fed you all them high-class fertilizers and sat up all night with you when you were sick? Nobody else would have done that for you. Do you think anybody else would have brought you human beings to eat? You're darn right they wouldn't. Well, I've helped you, and you've helped me. Now shut your trap and go to sleep. I'm tired.
Krellboy, turn around. Close your eyes. You are asleep. Open your eyes. Now you will do as I say. Do you follow me?
Yes, master.
You will go out and find me some food.
Yes, master.
Now be gone and waste no time.
Welcome back, my dreidel-spinning demons. It's Hanukkah, 8 crazy nights of lights, latkes, and laughs. And since we're watching a movie about a plant that's hungrier than a rabbi at a free buffet, I figured it's time for some Hanukkah jokes with a little horror twist. Don't grow too loud. I had AI write these, and the plant might hear you and want to nibble. First one. Why was Audrey Jr. so bad at playing dreidel? Because every time it landed on Gimel, it took all the gelt, and then took the players. Okay. What's the difference between the Hanukkah oil miracle and Seymour's plant? The oil lasted 8 days, but Audrey Jr. makes sure you don't. Why do we eat latkes on Hanukkah instead of feeding them to man-eating plants? Because even Audrey Jr. knows nothing beats crispy potato pancakes fried in oil. And if it had any blood, it wouldn't be kosher. Oh, he skipped that recipe anyway. And finally, how does a horror host like me celebrate Hanukkah? I light the menorah, and then run when the shamus starts saying, "Feed me." Those were horrible. I'm sorry. I apologize. Well, now you're groaning brighter than the candles. Back to Little Shop of Horrors before I get pruned or punned. Chag Sameach, you punny putzes.
My name is Leonora Clyde. How's the rain on the rhubarb?
Master is hungry.
Well, hello there.
I gotta find food for Master. Food I gotta find for Master. For Master, I gotta find food.
Maybe I can help.
Who are you?
My name is Leonora Clyde. I love you.
Master wants food.
Let the old goat wait. The night is young, and so are we.
Master doesn't eat goat.
Well, what kind of food does he like? Ooh! That's more like it. Kiss me. What's the matter? Don't you like me?
Too bony.
Too bony? Nobody ever told me that before.
Beef is better than veal.
Ah, you're such a dodo. What do you call this? Chopped liver?
Master would like more fat.
Speak for yourself, John.
My name is Seymour.
My name is Seymour.
That's my name, too.
Are you interested, or are you just wasting my time?
I never thought anybody would volunteer. Do you volunteer?
Sure I do.
All right, if you're sure you want to volunteer.
All right, my place or yours?
I don't care.
Well, flip a coin.
I don't have a coin.
Flip anything, silly.
Well, there's a rock. Wet or dry?
Wet.
The search was narrowing, and we knew that soon we would have the killer. Not that we had any more clues than before, but we had to tell the chief something. I had that feeling in my bones that the mystery was drawing to its climax, and I was determined to be on hand.
All right, out. Nobody is in. Today we have a special occasion for Seymour Krelboyne, which has invented the big plan. So I want everybody should please stay out of the way.
We want Seymour! We want Seymour! We want Seymour! Seymour!
I tell you, this business is worse than being a conductor in a revoluting door. I'll be glad when this day is finished.
What's the celebration?
They're presenting my son with a trophy.
Yeah, what'd he do, run away from home?
Please don't look at me that way, Audrey. I want to talk to you.
I'm sorry, Seymour. I just don't understand you.
I'll explain everything after the ceremony.
You, police, what are you doing here?
Heard there was something going on here this evening.
Just thought we'd come by and keep an eye on things.
Look, we don't need no eyes kept on nothing. Everything.
The Society of Silent Flower Observers has arrived, and sunset is almost upon us.
Welcome, lady and gentlemen. We are honored for to have you.
Still working on those disappearances.
We think they were murdered.
Hey, look here, young man. That's no way to talk at a time like this. Let me see your tongue. Uh-huh. Now, what you got?
Just the facts, ma'am.
Trench mouth. I know. I had it back in '09.
Better have that looked into, Frank.
Whatever you say, Joe.
Mr. Krelboyne, the sun is going down now, and you do think those buds are going to open?
I hope so.
Because if they don't, Mr. Krelboyne, we shall just have to present the award at another time.
Oh, it's starting to open.
Isn't that smart? Oh, look, the first bud is open.
Isn't that the
railroad cop? Look at the rest. Frank.
They're all there, Joe.
Yes, you're right. Mr. Crowboy, how do you explain this?
I didn't mean it. That's right, officer. He didn't mean to kill them. Am I?
Seymour, you promised you'd explain.
Looks like they're getting away, Joe.
Yes, you're right. Let's catch him.
Right.
Oh, now the float will be perfect. Yeah.
You wouldn't find him here with the toilets. Let's go back.
You dirty rat plant, you messed up my whole life. I'll feed you. I'll feed you like you never been fed before.
Better to give up, gentlemen. You wouldn't find him tonight.
Look, the door's open, Frank.
Oh.
He was such a good boy.
Manor. I didn't mean it.
Well, my midnight mishpucha, the candles have burned bright, the latkes are gone. Don't ask where. We had a call earlier from another plant, from Miss Mittens, and Audrey Jr. has finally bloomed its last do not feed the plant warning. Our Hanukkah special draws to a close, from the eye-poking chaos of Brideless Groom with those Meshuggah Three Stooges, to Roger Corman's two-day wonder, The Little Shop of Horrors, complete with young Jack Nicholson grinning through the drill, and that bloodthirsty botanical badnik demanding seconds. We've laughed, we've shivered, we've spun dreidels and sung about hungry houseplants. And just like the miracle of Hanukkah, a little oil, a little schmaltz, a little schlock, and all lasts longer than anyone expected. This actually has been way too long, considering that the movie was only an hour, and it really wasn't that good. That's what you get when you have AI write your scripts. Anyway, thanks for joining me in the Manor tonight. I just pretty much phoned it in today, but we need to make a Hanukkah special. Remember on the Rugrats when Angelica wanted to see her Christmas special? Everybody wants a Hanukkah special, but the truth is, they're really never that good. So remember, light your candles, eat your sufganiyot, and whatever you do, don't talk to strange plants. They might talk back and ask for a nosh. Well, at least we have a song that we've been having the past few episodes, which does mention Hanukkah. So Chag Sameach, you wonderful weirdos. Stay spooky, stay safe, and we'll see you next time in the Manor. Good night, and don't let the vines bite. All right, the end. Or is it? And good night, Roger Corman, wherever you are.
What if the shadows in the corner of your room could tell stories? What if they whispered tales of horror that both terrified and intrigued? This is the kind of imagination that fueled the age of horror cinema, a time when a visionary named Roger Corman redefined what it meant to feel fear. Through iconic films like It Conquered the World, A Bucket of Blood, Not of This Earth, The Wasp, Little Shop of Horrors, and Creature from the Haunted Sea, Corman not only captured the essence of terror, but also shaped the way horror was perceived and produced. Born in Detroit in 1926, Roger Corman grew up during Great Depression, a period that no doubt colored his perspectives on both society and the individual psyche. After earning a degree in engineering from Stanford University, Corman veered the expected path, drawn irresistibly to the film industry. His journey began with a job at 20th Century Fox, but it wasn't long before his entrepreneurial spirit and passion for storytelling led him to start his own production company. In the 50s and 60s, Corman became the undisputed king of B-movie productions, particularly in the genres of horror and science fiction. He had an uncanny ability to create compelling narratives on shoestring budgets. Films like The Mask of the Red Death and The Pit and the Pendulum were not just films, they were vivid, atmospheric explorations of the human condition. Corman's adaptations of Edgar Allan Poe's works, often starring the iconic Vincent Price, are particularly notable for their lush, stylistic richness and eerie depth. Corman's method was revolutionary. He capitalized on the concept of psychological horror, leveraging the audience's imagination as a canvas for the deepest fears. This was horror that crept up on you, horror that lingered far beyond the closing credits. Beyond the screen, Corman was a mentor. His keen eye for talent helped kickstart the careers of many prominent filmmakers. Names like Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese, Jack Nicholson, Ron Howard, Peter Bogdanovich, and James Cameron, who all worked under Corman, went on to redefine Hollywood in their own rights. This legacy of mentorship is as significant as his own direct contributions to cinema. Roger Corman's influence on the horror genre cannot be overstated. He taught us that true horror doesn't always lie in what is seen. Often it's found in what is suggested, in the unseen and the unknown. As we reflect on his passing, we remember a filmmaker who not only entertained but also inspired. His films, a blend of shadow and suggestion, continue to haunt the imaginations of audiences around the world, proving that sometimes the most compelling horrors are those left lurking in the corners of our minds. Roger Corman passed away in 2024 at the age of 98, leaving behind a legacy that will forever echo through the corridors of cinematic history. His work reminds us that in the world of horror, less is often more, and fear is most profound when it whispers from the shadows. If you enjoyed, please like, share, subscribe, comment, and hit the bell button for more content.
I'm spending Hanukkah in Santa Monica, wearing sandals, lighting candles by the sea. I spent Shavuos in East St. Louis, a charming spot, but clearly not the spot for me. Those eastern winters, I can't endure 'em, so every year I pack my gear and come out here till Purim. Rosh Hashanah I spend in Arizona, and Yom Kippur way down in Mississippi. And though I try to get my ass over to Tel Aviv for Passover, I always end up down in Tennessee. But in December, there's just one place for me. Amid the California flora, I'll be lighting my menorah like a baby in his cradle. I'll be playing with my dreidel. Here's to Judas Maccabeus, boy, if he could only see us spending Hanukkah in Santa Monica by the sea.
Yibunei ha-migdash Hirtzio inte malai O korles ozman.
This is I don't appreciate this. Rabbi.
I don't get to see.
You're not going to appreciate it. What are you doing?
It's going to last it. Hey, Rabbi, here's some
Shemi Chokochabrichu Shchinte. The Chil Chimur Liachit Shimika Babavki Bichudish Shem Kol Yisrael. Reine mogen we zullen elkaar met Swiss. Het lak is neer Hanukkah, commercial secret, no, zeggen, gemeenten zeggen een vraag, dat zeggen in Shorsha. We maken al jaren weer nemen, Adonai, hen alleen de meisjes en alleen de meisjes in een eeuw. Borech Ato Adonai Eloi Haini Melech Ha'olam Asher Kedishvuni b'mitzvaysav V'tzivoni Lahadlik Ner. Hanukkah. Burech Ato Adonai Eloi Haini Melech Ha'olam She'usa Nisim Lavois Avabayni Bayomim Hohaim Bezeman Hazeh Burech Ato Adonai Eloi Haini Melech Ha'olam Shehechi Yavavoni V'kiyim Yavavoni V'gi Yavavoni Lazaman Hazeh.
Amen.